Hello, this is Matt Nelson, MBA, and in this video we want to take a look at exponential smoothing with a trended baseline. Simple exponential smoothing doesn't work with trended baselines. That is, exponential smoothing works best when the data series is horizontal, that there is no pronounced trend up or down into the future. So how do we forecast a time series that has a trend? Well, the solution is to forecast the level and slope separately using different coefficients and then combine them into a single forecast. Finally, when we have our forecast, we need to optimize the alpha and beta constants by minimizing the root mean squared error. And finally, we can project our forecast one step into the future. So let's jump now to Excel and get started. In this spreadsheet, we have a list of customer data over time. We could take a look at this data by making a quick chart and seeing that it has a pronounced trend upwards. So unfortunately, we can't use simple exponential smoothing to get a forecast that's reliable here. We need to deal with the slope change in this trended baseline. So first of all, we need to edit this so that we have a time 0. So this is just going to be t, and this was 1 here. So let's insert a row and make t 0, and then project this down. And we want to break out the components of our baseline into the level and the slope. And then by projecting these forecasts separately, we can combine them into a single forecast. And also we will need two coefficients. We need the alpha coefficient. We can initialize that at 0.2. And a beta coefficient, perhaps 0.3. We will optimize these coefficients at the end. The first thing to do is initialize the forecast. So we're going to take naive assumptions. We're just going to start the level at t equals 0 equal to t equals 1, the first recorded level. And we're going to do the same thing for the slope by looking at the first recorded slope. So it started at a level of 10 and decreased by a level of 3, and that gives our forecast, the combined components, will equal to t equals 2. To make things easier, let's name these cells as alpha and beta. In the level forecast, we need to take alpha times the observation plus 1 minus alpha times the forecast, which is the combination of C and D. And finally, the slope forecast uses a different coefficient. This time we'll use beta. So beta times the observed slope plus 1 minus beta, the damping coefficient, times the forecast. And now we can just drag these to the bottom. So what does our forecast look like right now? We can add the time series for the forecast to our chart. And just select E through 21. And it's not very accurate. So what can we do about that? Well, we need to optimize this chart so that the root mean squared error is minimized by changing alpha and beta. So the RMSE is the square root of the sum of the differences in squares. And Excel actually has a function for that. If we scroll down the sum menu, we have sum x and y2, sums the squares of the differences in two arrays. So we'll do that. We'll look at our actuals and our forecast. Now we need the root mean squared error. So the mean is the average. So we need to divide this by how many observations we have. So we use the count function in there. We get an RMSE of 6.45. And that is not so great. We can do better than that. So let's use Solver in the data menu to minimize I4. So we'll select minimum. We'll change the variable cells alpha and beta subject to the constraints that alpha and beta are between 0 and 1. So we'll take I1 less than 1, and I1 is also greater than or equal to 0, and I2 is less than or equal to 1, and I2 is greater than or equal to 0. And then press OK. So we can see now the alpha and beta are between 0 and 1. We want to use the non-linear method, but we want to use multi-start. So we go to the options menu for non-linear and check the box for multi-start. And then press solve. Solver found a solution. And now we can use this to project our next forecast in cell E22 to be 21.05. So that's how you deal with a trended baseline and exponential smoothing forecast. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.